I'm just I've just been watching the latest video by Up Watchtower. So there you can see their little smiling faces on my laptop. Great video. It's their episode 44. That's a lot of work they've done. So they're already at number 44, and it's headed "How the Governing Body of Jehovah's Witnesses Make Doctrinal Changes." And it's a great video, and I suggest everyone watch it, whether you know lots about the J-dubs or know nothing. It's very informative. So I was watching and very happy until I got to this bit. Oh dear.
And just see that this does not apply the way that the governing body tries to apply.
Give it us all the info. That's great.
So now we're getting into recent doctrinal changes.
Tell us, Robin.
You know, over the past, especially 5 to 7 years, there have been dozens, if not well over 100 doctrinal changes. And it's very subtle.
It's a lot.
And you may have missed it if you weren't paying attention.
Now, I wasn't paying attention because this next one absolutely floored me. You'll find out why.
But, yeah, we're not surprised if you've missed it. A lot of what we're uncovering took mental Olympics to sort of make sense of. And one of the reasons...
That will explain why I didn't get the changes, because I haven't got any mental Olympics.
Reasons why, I mean, this video was so hard for us to research was because you start to do research just one thing, and the one thing for us was just doctrinal change, and you just go down a rabbit hole the more of their publications that you start reading.
I'm going to turn this light off in the back. I think it's reflecting on the... Ooh, okay.
And that you get referred to. It's hard to stick to just one thing, and we're going to do the best that we can with this. But what we're going to talk about is the March 2015 Watchtower, which is what really sparked this research, because they basically did away with the types versus antitypes.
Okay, this was news to me. We'd always talk about the typical, the antitypical, blah, blah. Have a listen.
Now, we grew up with types and antitypes.
Yep.
And, you know, I remember those Watchtower studies.
I remember them being, at a young age, impossible to understand.
Yeah. So they basically, you know, yay for new Jehovah's Witnesses, they've basically done away with that sort of teaching. So those of you who are unfamiliar...
Right, so... okay, my confession is... that was my favourite bit. It was, like, really interesting. I can imagine for children it'd be really boring. But they're saying, oh, no, wait, so this is, like, the bit that I like most. I thought, So hang on and see what they've got to say.
With what the types and antitypes are, why don't you just give us a little explanation?
Well, the way that they've always done it is the type would be a biblical story or a biblical character or a biblical experience where some event would happen, and then the antitype would be a modern day parallel to that original type that was written in the Bible.
Okay, so that's easy to understand, isn't it, the principle? But I found it fascinating. I mean, you could go down caves forever looking at those things.
So what you have is, oh boy, they've done this so many times. They've used Job as a type in the modern day organization as an antitype. They've used, all types of prophecies that Jehovah's Witnesses base their entire faith on. A lot of these were based on this type-antitype system. And
basically every ancient biblical story that you can come across, they found a way to make a modern day antitype and to claim that it was fulfillment of prophecy. So the reason that they say they've done away with this type of teaching for the most part is to emphasize simplicity and clarity in their literature. So just want to reiterate something here, because we talked about, we remember these quote-unquote deep Watchtower studies, right, where they would cover the type, antitype. And you would always have just a handful of people, right, that would be commenting because they understood it, or they thought that they did. And a lot of other people just sat quietly.
Looking around, looking to the left, looking to the right. Is somebody going to...
Oh dear. Maybe I only thought. But that was, it was my favourite bit because it was like really interesting. It was something really different. I didn't know everyone else was suffering so much at the same time.
Answer that?
Or just looking at the magazine. They don't look out to the conductor at all.
Oh,
because
dear.
they didn't understand. It didn't make sense to them.
I remember specific instances as well where the Watchtower study conductor himself answered the question in the paragraph because no one raised their hand.
True. And
I never used to put up my hand because I was just too embarrassed for anything. You always get his comments about me not commenting. Like, no, I'm too embarrassed.
You would hear things like, "Friends, the faithful slave has provided some real food for us. They've given us meat.
A banquet.
A banquet. This is the deep stuff here. This is not for spiritual babes. This is the deep things of Jehovah." So, some people really loved those Watchtower studies. For most of us, it was
Oh dear. I was that nerd. Like, how nerdy can you be? I think if we're going into different religions or sects or corporations in this case, let's face it, corporation, and you had to pick out one of the nerdiest, I think the J-Dubs will certainly be one of the nerdiest. And even if amongst that group, okay, you're nerdy, then you have to be like a super nerd. I mean, what do you call someone who is that nerdy? I think that was me. Let's see what else they've got to say.
Very uninteresting and didn't make much sense.
Oops.
But had you, just imagine yourself as one of Jehovah's Witnesses sitting in that Watchtower study. Just imagine that you raise your little hand and either say, "This doesn't make any sense," or "I don't believe this. I don't think this means what they're saying it means." You would find yourself very quickly after the meeting escorted into a back room, and you might be facing a judicial hearing with a body of elders for apostasy.
Ooh, it's true.
If it was in front of the congregation, there would be a price to pay. Because you can't make a statement like that publicly without being publicly reprimanded.
And the reprimand didn't mean staying after school and writing out 100 times. I must not say I disagree.
Possibly. So, it's just very interesting. Just think about that. You would have been called an apostate, and now they're basically doing away with the type, anti-type teachings for the most part.
Obviously, they've reached their nerd quota or quotient, and they just don't want to expand on that. I think that's fair to say.
The most interesting thing to me about doing away with the type, anti-type teachings is now basically they're saying now we're going to highlight in those biblical stories, in those biblical accounts, we're going to highlight what is like...
What's the moral of the story? What's the value? What's the lesson?
Right, and how you can apply that to be a better person. And that is basically what every other Christian church has always done in talking about the Bible. They highlight an account and then tell you how you can be a good person or whatever, a modern day parallel, and that's it. There's no profit.
But that's really good, but it's not nerdy. Where are the nerds going to go? It's terrible.
There's no gloom and doom. It's talking...
No gloom and doom.
I'm myself a little bit with stuff, but it's not the same way.
So now they're talking about how they've done away they're doing away with this type, how they've been doing away with this type, right? So maybe people didn't notice that they weren't talking about types and antitypes, but then they rationalized why it was okay for them to do that. They rationalized why they did it. So they legitimized the reason why they did that by saying that there was a biblical precedent for doing this. Mm-hmm. That Jesus, for instance, referred to himself as Jonah, that that he would see the grave for 3 days, similar to Jonah. So they point to that Jesus had a modern day fulfillment in his day of Jonah, and that's why they had the biblical precedent to do that themselves. They're not Jesus.
Look at his face.
But the other thing is that
Stan Laurel
justify their reason for doing that, because it said that some of the our faithful ones found it faith strengthening to have these types and antitypes. So it just felt good.
Feels really good.
Felt good. Yeah. Because we can be fulfilling this prophecy. We're the modern day fulfillment of this prophecy.
And gosh darn it, we're important.
Yeah.
So there you have it. A nerd's response to doctrinal changes. Dearie me, what would be left? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, do watch the episode properly. I'm sure you have been. You won't have all these wobbles like boing boing like me, done by professionals, proper people. Okay, well, I'm so pleased now that I am officially a nerd, sort of. A nerd amongst nerds. So, do I get a crown or something? Do I get a trophy? Do I get a badge? I mean, there has to be something, some little award, I think, given. Okay, that's me signing off for now. Thanks ever so much to What's Up Watchtower. Bye.